What's up, YouTube? So this is not a vlog. This is gonna be a quick prediction video on UFC 300. For whoever's watching, I'm also a huge UFC fan. I started following UFC, I think ever since Conor McGregor kind of burst onto the scene. Um, yeah, so it all started with Conor McGregor, and then I just kind of fell in love with the sport, and yeah, I've been following UFC ever since. So anyway, UFC 300, we have a great card with a lot of very high level fighters, a lot of champions. So in the early preliminary card, there's 4 fights. The first one is in the bantamweight division. It's going to be Davison Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. So the way I see the fight playing out is it's gonna start very sort of safe. They're gonna stay on the outside and just kind of try and test the waters, and then all of a sudden I see Davis and Figueroa trying open up a little bit, and then I want to say that Cody Garbrandt is gonna just catch him with one of the hooks and knock him out probably at the end of round 1. So that's my prediction for the first fight. Now, second fight is going to be in the lightweight division, Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. So I was never a fan of either of two of those fighters, but apparently Jim Miller fought since like UFC 80 something, 89. So he fought on UFC 100, UFC 200, and now UFC 300. So I mean, respect to the guy. So anyway, but the fight I'm seeing, I think Jim Miller is gonna take it. Bobby Green, like I don't see him beating Jim Miller in a stand-up, and I think that Jim Miller is good enough to compete in the stand-up with Bobby Green, but also he's better on the ground. So I feel like if the fight is gonna go south for Jim Miller, he's just gonna take Bobby Green down, and submit him. Um, I think so. Here's the thing with these fights. It became easier to predict ever since Dana White announced that every bonus for this UFC 300 event is going to be $300,000. So if you get a bonus finishing the fight, either by knockout or submission, you get $300,000. So you know that everyone's gonna be gunning for the $300,000. So I feel like every fight has a very high chance of being finished. So I want to say Jim Miller in the second round by a submission. So third fight is going to be women's strawweight. In the women's strawweight division, Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. I haven't seen Marina Rodriguez that much, to be honest with you guys. So I want to say I haven't seen her fight. So I'm just going to go with what I know. So Jessica Andrade by knockout in the second round. Although Jessica Andrade can get kind of wild when she gets going, but hopefully she wins. So the fourth fight is going to be in the lightweight division, Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano. So I've seen both of them fight. I honestly think they're on the same level in terms of skill level, but something just tells me that Jalen Turner is gonna have the edge because he's taller, he probably has longer reach, and I see this fight going the distance. And yeah, so I'm gonna go Jalen Turner by decision. He's gonna win the fight. All right, so now we're moving on to the preliminary card, which features 4 fights. The first fight is in featherweight division. It's going to be Sadiq Yusuf versus Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez is a very high level grappler. Um, and Sadiq Yusuf, I haven't seen him that much, but I think he's an overall good fighter. Particular in the stand up. So this is gonna be a toss, honestly. So I'm just gonna guess. I'm gonna go with Diego Lopez by submission in round three. All right, moving on to women's bantamweight division, Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. So this is Kayla Harrison's big UFC debut, and as much as I want to say that she's gonna win, I feel like Holly Holmes has a chance of spoiling her party. So I, I don't know. I feel like strength wise, like Kayla Harrison looks very intimidating. She looks very fit, but I feel like Holly Holm, even at 42 years of age, she's still strong. So I think she's gonna be able to withstand some of the takedowns and kind of edge out a decision on the feet. Yeah, maybe I have too much faith in Hollow Home at 42 years of age, but I feel like she's gonna pull the win out of the bag, and yeah, so I'm gonna say by decision, Holly Holm takes it. It's gonna be very close though. So featherweight, another fight in the featherweight division: Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. So this is interesting because it's a Calvin Kattar is a great striker. Aljamain Sterling is a pretty bad striker for MMA. On the other hand, Aljamain Sterling is a great grappler, but I haven't seen Calvin Kattar grapple ever in any of his fights. So I think it's a matter of who sort of imposes their game plan, and I think Calvin Kattar is gonna knock Aljamain Sterling out cold. It's just something about this fight is just, I don't know. I just see it happening in the first round. So I'm gonna say Calvin Kattar knocks out Aljamain Sterling in the first round. All right. So the last fight before the main card, in the preliminary card, is in the light heavyweight division. Yuri Prohaska versus Alexander Rakic. Uh, this is a hard one to predict. I feel like any fight that involves Yuri Prohaska is a hard one to predict because he's just so wild and unpredictable. But I'm gonna say that Alexander Rakic is probably gonna take this one by knockout in the second round. Yes. Okay, so we've knocked out all the fights before the main card, so now the main card. The main card has 5 fights. The first fight is in the middleweight division, Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. I mean, Bo Nickel is like a favorite by a mile, so I'm gonna say he gets it done by just running through Cody Brundage in the first round. It's gonna be bad for Cody Brundage. It's either gonna be a submission or a ground and pound. Probably not gonna be like a knockout, but either way, Bo Nickel got it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with him. Bo Nickel by finish, the submission, ground and pound in the very first round. So next fight is in the lightweight division, Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. And gosh, I hate the way they pronounce Arman Tsarukyan's last name. People say Tsarukian. I've seen Chael Sonnen say just basically, I don't know, I don't even know how he pronounced it, but it's wrong. It's Arman Tsarukyan. Anyway, so I think Charles Oliveira is gonna win this one. I think it's It's gonna resemble a fight between Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev, but I think what's better in this fight for Charles Oliveira is the fact that Arman Tsarukyan's grappling and overall striking is not on the level of Islam Makhachev. So I just feel like Arman Tsarukyan is a step below Islam Makhachev, and that's the fighter that Charles Oliveira can beat. So I want to say Charles Oliveira by knockout in the second round. All right. So moving on into lightweight division, Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. This is gonna fry my brains out. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Max Holloway takes it by a decision. It's gonna be a very close fight. It's gonna start very safe, but it's gonna pick up in the second and the third round. And actually, is it 5 rounds for the BMF title? If it's 5 rounds, definitely Max Holloway. Even if it's 3 rounds, I feel like Max Holloway is gonna take it, but it's gonna be a very close fight between those two. All right, so now we're going into women's strawweight division. Zhang Weili versus Yan Jianan. I want Yang Jianan to win so bad, so we can kind of have this rivalry between the two Chinese women. But I think Zhang Weili is just too good of an athlete. She's strong, she's fast, she's technical, and I think it's gonna go to distance, but I just don't see how Yang Jianan is winning this fight. And I feel like it's going to be ugly in terms of damage to Yan Jianan. And yeah, so it's going to be a lopsided decision for Zhang Weili. All right, the main event. Light heavyweight championship of the world, Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. I'm gonna say Alex Pereira knocks Jamal Hill out cold, because Jamal Hill is kind of wild when he fights. Like, he's not the most technical striker, and whenever he fights, he leaves himself open. And all it takes for Alex Pereira is one clean shot to the chin, and you're going down, you're going to sleep. Now, there is a chance that Jamal Hill catches Alex Pereira, but something that I heard from some of the other breakdowns is where they said that Alex Pereira's chin in the light heavyweight division is a lot better than in the middleweight. Was he in the middleweight division? Yeah, middleweight division. So I'm gonna trust Alex Pereira's chin to take a couple of shots from Jamal Hill, but then catching him with a hook or a knee, some devastating knockout, and he retains his championship. So here's my prediction for UFC 300. If you guys enjoyed, let me know. I'm gonna do more of these kind of videos. And yeah, so it's actually happening tonight at 7. The main card is at 10. I will not be watching the main card because I have a strict routine. I have to be in bed by 10. But I'll be watching the early prelims and prelims. So yeah, this was fun. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, and peace.